Raft Wars, Club Penguin, Motherload, Skywire, Pawn Game, and Age of War. Most, if not all of these games should sound familiar to you if you were anywhere near the internet during the 2000s. Flash support recently ended, but I thought I'd make a video covering my favourite Flash games as they were a huge part of my childhood. So when you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Flash was created by a group of engineers at Futurewave in 1996 after they modified their Smart Sketch software originally designed for drawing on tablet computers. Futurewave was later acquired by Macromedia, and by the end of the decade almost all online computers were running Flash. Pretty quickly, Flash became the backbone of many video players and websites, including YouTube. Then suddenly, sites like Miniclip, Armor Games, Free World Group, and Congregate started to pop up in the early to mid 2000s after amateur programmers over the world started making games that ran on Flash. It's ridiculous to look back at how simple popular Flash games were. Now, I have a very vague understanding of how video games are created, but I'm fairly certain a lot of these simple Flash games were made in a mere weeks or months by a small number of people or even just one person. It's a game about spanking a monkey faster than the fastest production car in the world. Need I say more? But seriously though, some of these Flash games are outright terrible, but some, despite being simple, were excellent fun, and I still enjoy them today as someone who's 20 years old. The amount of Flash games that were created was just insane. And some of these ideas were so good that they later were turned into a mobile game like Crush the Castle, which I believe inspired Angry Birds, Age of War became a mobile game, Learn to Fly, and a couple of others. But yeah, do you remember games like Skull Kid, which admittedly as a kid were quite gruesome? Like, you were using a chainsaw and guns, and you had a skull as a head, you were a skeleton boy. The whole point of this game was to be gory, and it had 3 levels, and you kill the boss, which is a big chunky boy, and then he just he shakes his head. Congratulations. I don't know why I specifically remember this game so well. I believe as a kid I just never got to the boss somehow, because the guy with the assault rifle kept killing me. And then there's other games I played as a kid that made me realize I truly dislike puzzles, and I was never a fan of these, even when I was a kid. That game called Bloxorz just makes me go insane.
Let's see a gainer, Grandpa!
Now every generation has their little thing that they're nostalgic about. For people from the 90s it was LAN parties, and for me and you, if you were a kid or teen around 2005 to 2010, well, our thing was Flash games. And I also believe a large part of the popularity of Flash games was the fact that you could simply load up any single game at school, given that it wasn't blocked at your school, or when you're at your buddy's house you could simply Google Congregate or miniclip.com and just play these games straight away without having a high-end system or anything installed. I don't think Flash games could be any more accessible than they already were, as anyone given that they had access to a computer or laptop could get a Flash game running within the minute, even if they didn't have Adobe Flash installed, because the install was super quick. Flash games were my first, or one of my earlier online experiences. I'm not entirely sure if it was my exact first. I think I might have played Call of Duty or something online first. But one of the earlier online experiences, as you could connect and play with other players in games like Club Penguin, RuneScape, Dark Orbit, Pawn Game, and honestly, it was the best part of Flash games. I have so many memorable and nostalgic experiences from online or co-op games like Blockhead, getting my first big boy ship in Dark Orbit, fighting off zombies in Dead Frontier with my IRL buddies, getting new stuff in Club Penguin to improve my igloo, or just throwing snowballs at other penguins, or absolutely clapping people in Pawn Game, which was one of the games I was actually surprisingly decent at a young age.
Headshot.
And these are simply experiences you will never really experience the same way again. Just like your first time playing Minecraft, these are things you will never experience again, especially if the game has died out or just shut down completely. Now, while Flash support has actually been ended on pretty much every single browser, you can still play Flash games with this thing called Flashpoint, and that's how I've recorded some of the footage you're seeing in this video. It has about 8,000 Flash games on there, and you can play them and it's really nice. That being said, it doesn't work with online services, it doesn't connect to any high scores. It's pretty much for anyone that wants to play some nostalgic Flash games in single player mode. While I did say that multiplayer Flash games were better, there are plenty of single player Flash games that are equally as nostalgic to me. For example, Evolution, a game where you pretty much just breed bugs that'll look really cool until you get this massive end bug. At that point, you can continue the game and finish your entire breeding log if you'd like to, or you've just finished the game. It doesn't take very long to complete, about 2 hours or 3 hours if you know what you're doing. But it's definitely one that's extremely nostalgic to me, especially because of the piano music that plays in the background when you're playing this game. Really nice. Motherload was an excellent Flash game consisting of you mining on an alien planet, and honestly the sound of my fuel being low is a sound I will never forget. I 100% panicked when I heard that sound as a kid, every single time. Next up is Feudalism, which is arguably my favorite army-based medieval fighting thing. I'm not even sure what you would call this game, but it was really fun conquering the entire world, getting better units every single time, getting new armor for your character. And even though the game's 2D, I think I've finished this game in its entirety about 10 times so far. That's how much I like this game. Such a simple game, but really, really enjoyable. Now, I would love to include the music of games like Squirt, Evolution, Motherload, Age of War, and so on in this video, but I do believe I'll be getting a copyright claim or even a strike if I do so. So the best idea is simply to avoid putting the music in the video, no matter how nostalgic it is. And so we near the end of the video. Flash games were a massive part of my childhood, and I hope I'll have the ability to play these games 20 years from now. I know I could have mentioned more Flash games in detail, but I didn't want to drag out this video for too long. It comes down to the same thing. I love Flash games, and you probably do too if you watched the video until this point. Let me know what your favorite Flash games are in the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.